Hey everyone, it's Xant. So the new content dropped. Let's do the normal video. Well, that looks like pretty neat login bonuses. Same as what we're kind of getting. Oh, okay, premium capsule stuff again. Cool. Okay, here's that Christmas campaign. This actually just got announced today. We had the image floating around, but we weren't sure what was in it. Standard capsules, yep, energy restores, awakening circuits. Okay, so it's not that bad. So 500 Haro coins total, 2 tickets, 1 of each purple awakening chip, bunch of upgrade nippers, and 3 very strong recoveries. So that's not bad, actually. I really wish they were less stingy with the recovery stuff. Anyways, we'll do welfare and then the gacha stuff. So, Trooper coin. Gouf Custom. Let's take a look. When armor is 60% or less, recover 10 armor. The low recovery number is not really that great. The helmet itself looks really cool, but the stats are very, very lackluster actually, and the traits, Chest. Okay. Infighter, skill CD reduced. That can be useful, I guess, for a welfare part, but I think we've had welfare parts in the past that kind of do this. I'm not going to outright say that it's just a bad part, because I know a lot of people are saying that the EX skill reduction is really good. I personally don't find it to be that useful, considering the other stuff that you can get on, in this case, the torso. But I can see why people would say it's pretty... And you only require an infighter too, right? So, not that big of a deal. Hands... Very, very low stats again. Heat rod. Execute a combo with your whip. Okay, I wonder if... Did they add the whip weapon on here? Wait, hold on. A and D. That's pretty good, actually, for a welfare skill. The stats are very, very poor, though, so I don't think that's a trait. Because, yeah, no. You're going to be losing like 1500, 1600 melee with this. It's just not worth it. And that's like a minimum number, too. And they did add a whip weapon, so we'll get there. Alright, legs. Infighter job. Close shot attack raised, which I guess makes sense because he uses the suit uses an SMG, which is a close shot attack weapon. So that makes sense. Cool. And what was that, a max value? 14? Okay. I don't know if that'll make the weapon itself viable. It may make natural 4-star SMGs in the future viable, or shotguns if we get those, things like that, but I just... No, there are much better legs out there. Backpack with power attribute, melee damage output boost by a flat number. Okay. As I always say with backpacks, there is severe competition for what's available in the backpack slot, and this is a very lackluster skill to start with, so not very good. You gotta remember, right? I say it every video when this comes up, but with the flat numbers, you're doing hundreds, almost like 1,000 damage, if not more than that per hit. 20 damage is a drop in the ocean. It's only really useful when you're a very low level and don't have a lot of damage output, but even then you're going to quickly get to a point where this is just negligible. Okay, the sword. Heat sword. When attacking with physical, strong melee power boosted by 20%. Now see, that's not bad as a trait, because as an infighter, or anyone that uses melee, your last hit, or in the case of infighter, an attack you do right out of your thrust, is a strong attack. And being able to just give it a 20% boost can be very good, depending on your build. Unfortunately, the stats are, to say a shame would be putting it nicely. With a 1140 melee attack, you're pretty much looking at losing 2k, if not more, melee attack to field this compared to the higher tier weapons available for melee. And even though the trait looks nice, because one of your core weapons for melee or one of your core parts, I should say, for melee damage is your weapon, you're really gimping yourself with this for the 20% return. So it may pay off depending on what you're running, but I don't think it's going to be a very easy to do trade-off, I guess is the way I'd word it. You're gonna have to make sacrifices to field it and make the most of it. Alright, let's check the whip. with power attribute self, job gauge increase boost. So job gauge increase can be pretty useful depending on your play style, but frankly, for a weapon, I think a better trait or an EX skill would have been better suited for this. And it also has very low melee attack to it. Now, as this, what I assume takes up a weapon slot, I really don't... Like, it's neat. It's the first whip weapon, to my knowledge, that we've had added into the game. So it's definitely a novelty piece. But the stats, unfortunately, are just so low. Like, even for welfare, right? Like, this is criminally low. I guess if it attacks really quickly, the trade-off is worth it. Like, really quickly. But, And the Gatling shield. Physical range weapon magazine boost. Like I said, when we had the heavy arms originally roll into the game, magazine boosts aren't terribly useful because most guns have a very small magazine to start with. Adding 20% will typically add anywhere from maybe 1 to 5 shots. 1 if it's a beam weapon, 5 if it's a large clip SMG or something, right? So this is just not very useful, I think is how I'd word it. Now granted, this is a Gatling gun itself, so it most likely feeds into that. You know, it kind of makes itself have a larger clip. But as we've learned with, what weapon? It was the same weapon that was added into the arena shop a while back. They're very inaccurate, and they just don't do enough damage unless you get up very close. And even then, they just don't do optimal. Well, I'm not even going to say optimal. They don't do good damage, even if everything hits. And because you have to get that close, you're risking yourself getting hit by melee attacks. So right now, Gatling weapons are not in a very good place, unless it has an overwhelming offensive stat to it, which 1140, this ain't doing it, Chief. Real shame. Looks cool. Looks really cool, though. So, overall, looking at the Gouf Custom, it looks like aesthetically amazing. I like the way it is. Unfortunately, pretty much every part is meh. The only thing that, out of all of them I looked at, that I thought was a viable part was the chest. That's only because of the low requirements for this skill reduction, or the skill cooldown reduction, right? You just need to have an infighter job, right? You don't need to be in a specific attribute. You don't need to have a specific weapon. You just infighter job, off you go. So if you're looking for more skill reduction, being able to get this maxed out, 15%, not as high as some of the other parts we've had, but as you are able to get it to EX10, maybe that's your jam. And anything interesting in here? No, not even logos anymore. Okay. On to the gacha. First up, we're starting with the Providence. Alright, ooh. Okay. So these are the, Falcons. D- does literally nothing, and the shot attack is excessively low. Man, I was expecting like really high shot attack on the Providence, so it's kind of a letdown. Chest, long shooter, melee power reduced. If it was just melee power reduced, that'd be cool, but strong melee power reduced? If you've ever been caught in a melee combo, you can typically break out of it if you use your verniers at the right time during the combo and escape the strong hit. So, I don't know how useful this truly is. Compared to the other chests that we have available, meh. Like, I don't really know what to say about it other than that. It doesn't really stand out. Alright, so this is the composite arm shield system. Yep, the CASS. Cool. AD, 11 shots. You can move while firing too. So it's like a backup beam rifle. You fire your main, you fire this while it's reloading, and you switch back and forth. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Ooh, okay. That has pretty high shot attack, actually. So, if you're looking for a set of arms that'll help you with your shot attack build, and you don't have a shield that really brings any offensive stats to the table, I would almost say this is a good pickup for you. Granted, the tall geese arms are better because they have a much higher shot attack cap, but the Dober arms... Wait, no, the Dober arms actually have the Dober gun, don't they? Pretty sure they do. I'll have to double check that. Yeah, no. So these are immediately outclassed by the tall geese arms. Let me check. So after double checking, yes, the Dober arms do have the Dober gun skill, and they have a shot attack of over 1600. So you get, what, 800 and change more shot attack with those arms? These are literally just a worse tall geese arm. If you like the aesthetics, go ahead. But if you're looking for a stat optimal piece, you're probably going to want to go with the tall geese arms between the two of them. Okay, on to the legs. With technique, long shot attack. Okay, so if you're using a long shooter or a beam rifle, well, I guess a beam rifle weapon is the best way to put it. I talked about it in a previous video, but there are different ranges in which weapons work. So SMGs work best at close range, there are weapons that work best at mid-range, and then there are weapons that work best at long range, right? So, you know, the beam rifles like the Dynames, or the Wings Buster Rifle, things like that, right? Those are like the long range weapons, and they'll get target locks at long range. So what this is doing, when you do a long shot attack, it's raised by whatever percent. It doesn't actually mean if you're a long shooter, all your damage gets boosted. It's the range in which you launch your attack and hit the enemy. And because each weapon has an ideal range to do maximum or minimum damage, right? It's based on spacing and whatnot. This means you are pretty much the maximum distance away and hitting them. So, it's a pretty good part. Unfortunately, the shot attack is a lot lower than I'd like for a stat-centric build, but if you want to look at something to increase the percent fit rate, maybe this is it. Problem is, as it is a very low 20% at EX10, I don't know if you want to do the stat trade-off for it. Maybe you do. That's going to be a personal choice. Okay. Next up, yep, the Dragoon system. Okay, pretty average stats for a backpack, A+D, and yeah, works like any other funnel. So, if you like funnels or you want funnels, this might be up your alley. I may actually pick this with my premium materials, although I guess that depends on whether or not I get the V2 legs between now and then, because I like the aesthetic of this backpack a lot, so, much more than the new Gundam. So, anyways, pretty okay backpack. You know, it's a funnel, straightforward. The Udicium beam rifle. Yep, technique attribute, special shot power boost. Again, that's something you can only get when you have the long shooter job, and I think the mid shooter job, where you hold down the shot button, you get into a pose and you fire off a big beam. It doesn't actually mean, you know, your shot power is just going to be flat boost. It's only that specific type. So, with a 3,177 shot attack cap to it, that's very lackluster, unfortunately. If it was sitting at like 3.8k or 4k, this would be a definite, like, look into this kind of thing. But with less than, I think it's actually less than the Gundam beam rifle, or around there. Yeah, it's not really ideal. I feel really bad for the Providence, actually, looking at this kit. That's it for it, right? Yeah. So overall, for the Providence, like, it looks really cool. Unfortunately, all the parts are very mediocre at best. The arms are a worse tall geese. The backpack is just a free man's new Gundam backpack, pretty much. So yeah, this is definitely one of those roll if you like the suits, and if you don't, you're not missing anything from this one. The Providence doesn't really have anything that stands out as amazing. Alright, let's move on to the Bernern. Okay. Head-mounted Vulcan, 2377. Okay, so a pretty meh head. So much better available in the premium material pools. Combat stance. Okay, so that's a pretty good self-buff. Well, not self-buff, team buff. So your melee attack gets boosted. Thing is, though, because we have other parts that have been in the arena and welfare shops that do this already, and we can EX10 them, unlike this where we have to roll gacha. I don't really know how useful this will actually be. I think it'd almost be better to find something that has an awakening and go for that, because it applies more than just like a melee buff. Arms, power attribute, enemy melee power reduced by 30. Really melee. Okay, so nothing really great there either. Man, a lot of people are really hyped for these suits too, so I feel kind of bad looking at these. Power attribute, EX skill CD reduced by 20%. Okay. That requires a power attribute instead of a specific job. Has the same lower end percent rate to it. Stats are okay for legs. They don't really have any amazing numbers to them. But okay legs. Backpack. Oh, hey, an awakening. Universal boost pod. Speed, melee. Wait, what? Okay, that has to be a typo. Raise speed by 20%, raise speed by 20%, and then raise your melee attack. Is it really just a gotta go fast awakening? Like, that'd be really gimmicky. Huh. I guess if you're an infighter, that could be pretty useful, because that means you could, if you had that much extra speed, you could like instantly close gaps. Well, I don't know. It's interesting on paper. I don't think it's going to be that great in practice, but I've been wrong before about many things. The stats are okay for a backpack. It's neat. I'll give it that. And wow, that's it? Okay. No weapons or anything. But I guess that makes sense. We pretty much got all of them with the original GP01, so... Anyways, so looking at the entire full Bernern, there's really nothing stand out on it. The entire thing is pretty okay at best. Yeah, the backpack's really the only interesting thing here for this machine. And, you know, to nobody's surprise, between the Providence and the full Bernern, the most interesting parts are the backpacks. Surprise. So, yeah, my personal opinion on the current pickup, the Providence looks cool, but the stats are very low end, almost like 3-star-ish. And the full Bernern pretty much suffers the same thing, where it doesn't really have any standout traits or anything like that. So, anyways, we'll move on to the pilots here real quick. We'll look at... Yeah, we'll do Iron Mask first. What? So he's a defender with 800 armor, pretty much no offensive capabilities. Whoa. Oh, mind is blown. Debuff EX skill, pretty much useless. Okay. Man, I get that you pretty much ended up mooking yourself and, you know, just blowing your own machine up, but man, that's an ouch looking at those numbers. Alright, Chloe, you are an outfighter. What do you got for us? 1144 melee attack. Okay, not that bad. And Vernier consumption, practically a useless trait. Okay, so, Chloe's at least a salvageable pilot. She has a neat melee attack. Quite unfortunately, though, this role, if you're just looking for a melee pilot, Johnny Ridden, the guy that's currently in the arena gacha, or not the arena gacha, the arena store, has, I think, the exact same melee stat, but he's an infighter, and you can just get him with arena coins. So if you're looking purely for stats, you're probably going to want to go for that. If you're looking to roll Chloe because you like her and she's cute, I totally get where you're coming from, go ahead. No one's going to stop you. You know, it's just, she's a usable pilot, for sure. She doesn't stack up to the 1600 melee attack guys, but she's pretty much the tier right under them. So, it's pretty okay. Pretty okay. I wonder, actually, thinking about this, will they ever add a gacha, or not a gacha, a premium material style thing for pilots? That'd be pretty cool. Anyways, I guess that's it. Yeah, then we have the event capsules again. Yeah, bonus coins, all the free roll stuff came back up. Cool. And you know what? I'm going to throw in, just checking this out real quick, because I'm curious. Very curious. Is it literally just, like, top select weapons or something? Yeah, it looks like that's exactly what it is. Large Heat Hawk. Dead End. Oh, okay, hold on. The Dead End, isn't that a lower end weapon? Yeah, it is. Is it just because they're rare? Is that why they're in here? Huh. That's unique. Okay. So, yeah, this is definitely just a weapons up gacha. Very interesting. Interesting. I don't know if I would recommend rolling on this as 0.2% for a weapon that you can get through other means like friend gacha and things like that. Seems a little bit of a waste. Actually, can you get the Dead End through that? Maybe not. End of the day, I don't know if you want to spend Haro coins on things with such low stats. If you're someone that's just looking to complete a build or whatever, I totally understand. But for the average player, I would not recommend rolling this just because anything you need specifically as a weapon, you can get through the premium materials, and the selection in this pool is very limited, to put it nicely. Anyways, with that, I've gone over all the new content that got added this patch. Hopefully my commentary kind of helped you figure out if you want to spend Haro coins on this stuff or not. Anyways, I'll wrap this up now. I will have a new video coming out on Friday, a little different than normal, so keep an eye out for that. Anyways, peace out, guys. See you in the next video.